What's going on? Legion Nuda here, playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP Grind, episode 41. So, over here, we've got a ridiculous amount of charcoal. We are going to be filling these back up, and then going to be picking up all that charcoal. The only problem with that really is that, obviously, these chests are mostly full of charcoal. So we've got quite a bit. It's a little bit ridiculous, actually. But all this is just going to give us XP in the long run. And yeah, with our new target goal being 4 million artisan XP. Originally, it was at 3 million, and we were just going to be okay with that. But after getting construction to 2 million XP, we thought, what are we going to do with all these ash planks? So it just sort of made sense to decide that we were going to go after artisan 4 million XP. And we're already halfway there, really. So I believe that once we're done with all the ash planks, we'll have more than enough to reach 4 million XP in Artisan. But that's not really what I want this episode to be about. Obviously, we're going to have to pick up all this charcoal. And I don't think we're even going to do that in this episode. I think we're going to get our inventory full with it. But then that's not what this is actually going to be about in this episode. I just sort of wanted to get this started. And it's going to provide a little bit of Artisan XP, which is not really a bad thing. So once we've done this, we are going to be working on rune crafting today. And this one's a little bit challenging as it just takes time. That's really all it takes. So not quite challenging in the regard of it being difficult or anything like that. Just going to take time. I don't know what that's doing in there. So let's go ahead and grab some clean water. We've already got a little bit of food, but one piece is obviously not going to do it. So let's go ahead and top that off. Our sleep's already pretty good, so we don't really have to worry about that. Let's go in our insanely crazy food chest. Go ahead and pull this out and then get started on our journey for the day. But I guess we'll go over our XP update really quick. Nothing really changed. 270,000 attack XP, 817,000 woodcutting XP, 2,003,000 construction, 439,000 rune crafting, 46,847 magic, mining 4,038,000, artisan 3.5 million XP, and cooking 169,000. But before we actually leave, I do remember now that I actually got all this stuff going here. So this is going to provide a lot of cooking XP. So I do want to sort of quickly get away from it, as I don't want to collect XP and then lose any of it. We're going to grab all this on the way back from working on rune crafting, but this is going to provide quite a bit of cooking XP, I'm hoping. And we're trying to move pretty quickly here, as I don't want to lose any of this cooking XP without actually having a potion active. So it looks like we managed to do that successfully. So we don't quite need all this. We're going to leave all of our gear on. Obviously, that's going to take up inventory space, so it's sort of a waste. Now we've got another issue where potentially all these have respawned, and that only means one thing, really, that we're going to have to shoot them down when we get to each location, which really isn't that big of a deal. So we're going to be blasting these in pretty big clusters. It looks like our pickaxe is mostly recovered, so we don't really have to worry about that breaking while we're out. But we are going to have to use our personal storage chest, as the amount of rune essence we're probably going to be getting is going to be quite crazy. A large amount. I'm not sure if it's going to be the largest amount that we've ever gathered in one time. I don't think that's going to be the case, but potentially it is, because I never used to have as many lodestones at all the different places. So I do think it actually might be, but we're going to have to find that out at the very end when we sort of got it all. But it's interesting, really. It's just going to take a lot of time to gather all this, but I think it's going to provide quite a bit of rune crafting XP. And I don't quite remember what we said that our new goal was going to be for rune crafting before our range, or potentially even if I mentioned if it was going to be by December, what that goal was going to be. So we've got lots of work to do there regardless. And I think the ultimate goal, because we don't really know what 99 is going to require, but I think 1 million XP in rune crafting, that's not really what we're going for by December. That's a little bit ridiculous. But we are going for, I think it was like 500,000 that I sort of said. I can't quite remember. Maybe it was 600,000. But ultimately, at the end of all of it, I would like to see all of my skills with at least 1 million XP. I think that would be a very, I'm not sure if it's the right word, but gratifying. I think it would make me feel really good and accomplished to sort of have at least 1,000,000 XP in all skills. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what that ultimately looks like, because certain skills that actually might be quite a crazy requirement. I'm not sure, like cooking. I think we can do it with all the updates that are going to come to the game, and the different kinds of meats from different monsters that you're going to kill. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But ultimately, I think that when I've reached 99 in a skill, that's obviously a completed skill. I'm going to feel good about that. But this is weird, sort of off the ground a little bit. But this is why I like to shoot them down. I've talked about this a little bit in the past, and the big reason for this is you have so many other things that you want to potentially be doing in a game. You could come over here and then shoot them down and then mine them, but I like to do it in way larger amounts. It just seems to make a lot more sense to me, and that way you just need to come collect them one time. So it allows you to do other stuff in the game while you're sort of building up this massive amount of essence that you can collect. So, and then you sort of make all your runes at once. I think if you were to look at it from a standpoint of time, it just seems like it would take quite a bit of time to have to make runes in small amounts. I guess you could bank them, but then, I mean, ultimately at that point, you might as well just be shooting them down and then come do them all at once. I think that really makes sense. You know, coming over here, maybe potentially mining 3 on the ground, and then sort of shooting the ones down. But ultimately, I think this is the way to do it. You can do it however you like. I prefer to do it this way because I do so many other things in the game. I think it's also worth noting that when they're in larger clusters, you can actually use your blast spell and sort of break apart them in groups, which actually would save quite a bit of time as well. So there's lots of ways you can do it. I'm actually tempted to sort of go get my arrows just because they don't actually take any weight up, and the way that we're doing it right here is a little bit irritating. I'm not gonna lie. This back and forth, having to keep pulling out my pickaxe, I don't really quite like that much. And this is a bit of lag there, and I think it may be because I've got so much built near here, but I'm not quite sure why that's doing that as well. But ultimately, this is, I mean, I sort of just got distracted. And the reason is because there's 3 cows just sort of sitting here, and I do have to kill them. I normally wouldn't do it, but the truth is you don't usually find 3 cows just sort of in a group. It's unfortunate because it is going to take up a little bit of inventory space, but I don't really want to let them go as they do provide items for cooking and things like that. So I want to take advantage of that. So at least these aren't floating around in the air, and that's going to be easy to sort of destroy all these really quick. It's hard for me because I grind so much to sort of see materials floating, or when I see flax, it makes it really hard to walk away from it. As it turns out, I'm going to need a lot more flax to make that wild archer armor to finish up my mannequins, because it won't really be that difficult to make the rest of the magic sets. I think I need to make like another 6 more, and then after that, really, it's just gonna be just the wild archer. So these are floating. It's unfortunate. It just means it's gonna take longer, which not too excited about. I don't know why sometimes it allows me to sort of. I didn't bring enough rune crafting potions, that's for sure. So we're gonna have to go back to our base regardless. But yeah, I don't know why sometimes when you fire at those with your staff, it doesn't knock them out of the sky. So I'm probably gonna go get my bow and then also more rune crafting potions, because I don't know why I didn't bring more. I think I was more concerned about weight. And obviously we are gonna have to use our personal chest regardless. So I think I need to be a little bit less concerned with the extra little bit of weight from a couple of potions. But like, there's quite a bit of rune crafting XP just from mining these. So I don't think it's unrealistic to think that we could have 500 plus thousand XP in rune crafting by December. So let's go ahead and run over here really quick and grab more rune crafting potions. And then as well, while we're here, we may as well drop this stuff off because we really don't want it. And I guess I can leave this rune essence here as well. And then I don't know how difficult it's going to be to find our arrows. So that's another issue that I'm not really looking forward to. So we got lucky there right there. Let's get back to it. I don't want to waste too much time with that. So it looks like these have respawned again. It's irritating, but at the same time, I mean, we're working on this, so it is what it is, really. but we are going to be getting a ridiculous amount of rune crafting XP in this episode, so we are happy about that, as we need to keep progressing on our road to max. I think a lot of this will have a lot more importance once they actually raise the level cap in skills, and we sort of see how that's going to work. I know I talked about a post I saw, someone wrote on Reddit saying that your XP is not going to let you level up anything you've done past what the requirement is. And I think that's absolutely absurd, because they haven't said that it's not going to. So I don't think that the creators of this game are going to let people consistently play their game moving forward and sort of just have all that XP get wiped out. I think it would, I mean, it's not even about me. It's not just because of my position, right? It's not because I've got so much XP. It's because ultimately people are still playing a game and they're invested in it. And because you don't have any new material in the game, I think it would be kind of ridiculous to punish people who did keep putting time into your game. And I think that would be absolutely wrong. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But ultimately, I don't see that happening. I think there would be a lot of upset people, including myself, to sort of just take away all that extra XP. And especially they know how RuneScape players are. We are a different breed, and we sort of do this. It's what we do. And even though it's not an MMO, that's even more reason not to take away the XP or sort of not make it count. Because at the end of the day, we're not competing with anybody else, right? We're sort of playing the game and it's our own journey. And it's not going to hurt anybody else if we potentially get extra XP beyond the level that's allowed. So I'm hoping they raise the skill level in Fell Hollow. They haven't really talked about it, but since it's a whole new land, right? It's adding on to the existing map. I think that's a perfect time for them to do this, and I really do think that that's how they're going to do it. So I think it's a perfect opportunity. You're sort of introducing fresh content into the game, and then you also raise the cap. And I think it brings a lot of players back who sort of took a little bit of a break from the game, and then also existing players are going to play the game a lot more because there's new content, and then there's a skill cap raise. I mean, it just has to happen that way. That's what I really believe. So I'm almost certain that when Fell Hollow comes out, they will be raising the skill level, but we'll have to wait and see. But I know that they're also going to be introducing farming in December as well. So I know there's a lot of people waiting for the skill caps to raise. I think it's very important in the game's progression to grow and build a base of players, because people want to aim towards something. They want to be accomplishing something. I think that's pretty much how a lot of people feel, especially the people who played RuneScape coming to play this. I think that's going to be an important development in the game's progression, just allowing players to keep working on their progress in the game. So I know that that's coming, and Fell Hollow is a perfect opportunity to do that. I want to sort of shift my discussion now, because I feel like I've sort of already discussed that in length. And I think there's lots actually to discuss. I think what is the game going to look like once Fell Hollow comes out, and how much it's going to change what's going on. I think it's actually going to do a lot, because ultimately, like, a lot of people like to build in this game. So I don't want all that stone. People like to build a lot in this game, and I think what's going to happen too is, I mean, if I'm correct in the picture that I saw a while back, that willow trees are coming to the game, then I mean, it would be quite crazy, because essentially anything that you've built prior to Fell Hollow, you would be upgrading. And I mean, like, that's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. Why do I have two teleport? Oh, there's a second one here. Interesting that they would have two so close together. So apparently we're being hunted, and they want to sort of kill me. So let's go ahead and take these guys out really quick. Shouldn't take too much effort. And we're being struck by arrows, but you can see there's another one down there too. It's quite crazy, really. You've got it everywhere. Let's see if I could do it like this. I don't know if you knew, but your cursor, when you do this, you can sort of scroll towards you, and it's going to get all the ones in the air. And sometimes it'll miss them depending on how far apart they are. But we got lots of work to do, and we're doing it right now. We're putting in the grind, and this is basically the hardest part of reaching max. Is I I mean, it probably might not look like a lot, right? Because if you don't play the game that much, this is just sort of you, I'm going to go make some runes, right? But essentially, the way we play the game, everything is done in mass amounts. So a lot of these things take quite a bit of time. And I so much hate when those roll down the hill. Sometimes they go a lot further than others. But you can see here, we put a lot more lodestones everywhere. So that way we can get more rune essence. So obviously when we're doing this, it's going to take a lot more time than it normally would have originally. But we realized is if we're going to want to progress in the game for Road to Max, we're going to have to start really going all in and committing. And that's, I think, what we've really started to do here by adding all these different lodestones. There's even more we could add, potentially in the swamp. I'm not sure how many are in the swamp, but there's some near the swamp. There's more, quite a bit of places, to be quite honest. And all those places, technically, we could place new ones. We just haven't really done that. And the reason being that it already takes so much time to gather the ones we have done that I just think it would take such a ridiculous amount of time to go gather all the essence in a video, or I mean, not really so much behind the scenes, but I think this is important to sort of do this on video. I think it sort of allows you guys to see the progression and all the work that we've been putting into the game, and it also allows us a little bit of time to sort of talk about the game while we're collecting resources and potentially going to different areas. Maybe you haven't seen that there was rune essence available. I know when you're a low level player, especially, it's a little bit harder to explore certain parts because some of these areas can be incredibly dangerous if you're not really geared well enough or sort of ready for that. So this gives a unique opportunity potentially to some newer players to sort of see the game without having to put themselves in incredibly difficult positions to do so. Our rune crafting potion did go off a while ago. I'm not sure how long it's been off, but it has. So that was a little bit of wasted XP, but it's really not that big of a deal. Let's see how much we get from this chunk. That's crazy. 360, 396, or maybe that's because I'm mining it, but we got like 380 rune crafting XP from that one blast. So we already put a little bit of rune essence at our base, but it looks like we've already amassed about 782 in our inventory again. So I don't know, everything is done in major amounts when we do things in a game. So I mean, I take it's pretty awesome. That's all I got to say really about that. Nothing is done in little bits. So I don't know. I think this is the one I haven't gotten yet. So it's just going to take time. We've made thousands of arrows. And really, the big reason that we've done that is because we knew we were going to have to work on this. So we really wanted, I killed that guy really fast. What we wanted to do was actually have enough arrows. So when we were doing rune crafting, we didn't have to necessarily worry and we could just sort of shoot things out of the sky and just waste unlimited amount of arrows if we needed to. But also range is going to be coming to the game in September. So we really wanted to be ready for that. And I think what that's going to look like is needing a lot of arrows because obviously you're going to have to level up the skill and you so we sort of prepared for that in advance. I think preparing in advance is an amazing thing. So we do have little bits of information on what's going to be coming to the game at different times. So this has allowed us the opportunity to prepare for different skills. And so I think we're pretty much done over here. We've got all of it that we can get. Let's see what this one is. That is something else entirely. So ultimately, yes. So knowing what's going to come to the game is allowing us to sort of prepare in large amounts. I mean, we know for sure that prayer's going to come to the game, but that's ways away. But it just sort of, you can now start collecting your animal bones, as I'm pretty sure that those are going to be required. And worst case scenario, they just say, hey, animal bones are not going to be something that you bury, which really wouldn't make any sense to me. I sort of think dragon bones will be a huge thing. So that means you're going to have to farm ridiculous amounts of dragons in the game to get the best XP from prayer. But ultimately, I'm pretty sure people are going to be pretty stoked to be fighting red and green dragons consistently in the game. So, but all that stuff's going to amount to lots of XP for you in prayer and other things too, because those dragons are going to drop a lot of good resources. So it all sort of ties in together. And this is exactly what we were sort of talking about with length and time when placing more and more lodestones by these. it just takes such a long time to collect all this essence. So I think this is another reason why it makes sense to shoot them down in bulk, and just wait for them. Because honestly, it's gonna take a lot of time to individually mine these. So if you can get them a little bit closer together, it's gonna save you quite a bit of time. And I definitely recommend doing it that way, as I just that's how I think it should be done. Um, Plus, just there's so many other things to be doing in the game, so you don't want to focus so heavily on spending time mining 3ADs at a time. In some areas, they don't even spawn on the ground. It's just going to be what's in the sky. So doing it this way sort of allows you to do everything you need to do. I don't know why I didn't teleport over there. We're just going to actually run ourselves over there really quick so we can grab this and work on this little section of them. But it's just so time consuming, rune crafting. And it's one of those skills that hopefully pays off. So that's another thing to think about actually as well, is we don't really know what's going to be required to get to level 99. But when they do add blood runes and other runes into the game, right, potentially they could bring ancient magic to the game, like an ancient book or something. And I'm sure that's going to require high level in magic. So there's lots of things they can play around with. But ultimately, since it takes so long to level up, let's just say that even if 99 was only 250,000 XP, which I think is highly unlikely, um, you would still have to, invest a considerable amount of time into the game to get yourself in that position. To obtain even 250,000 XP would take quite a bit of time. So I think it's important. Right now is a great time to get started. So if you really haven't even started on your grind yet, I mean, there's no real better time than right now, because you're going to want to access those things when they come out and enjoy them. I think what's going to happen is sort of what's happened here, where let's say Fell Hollow. I mean, I don't know when they would add anything new to Magic, right? But they're going to as the levels increase. So I think it would make sense to sort of get yourself ready for that, because what's going to happen is you're going to have to fight these creatures over and over. So you may as well be doing it with the new things that are available rather than kill them with the existing stuff that you potentially aren't ready for. You're not ready for the new stuff. So you're going to kill them with all the original stuff that you sort of have to use because you're not the correct level. And then once you actually can use the new stuff, it's not going to be as fun, I don't think. If you have to go kill all the dragons over and over again, you probably want to be having the most fun you can. So I think it sort of makes time to invest into the game now rather than as things come out and you're such a far level away from being able to experience that new content, which obviously is completely preference. And look at all those animals. That would be a lot of good materials for cooking. We're almost actually done, so we're not that far away from finishing up this rune crafting haul here. But that was just a suggestion, just a thought. You can play the game how you like. I'm just trying to say that when new stuff comes to the game, I know a lot of people sort of took a break from this game because it's missing a lot. But once it does come to the game, I think it's going to be a little bit challenging, a little bit tricky, because obviously you're going to pick the game back up and you're going to be potentially leaps away from being able to enjoy those new things in the game. Um, I mean, even if you and I invested 15 minutes into the game every day to sort of prep yourself for what's coming. But I already know that there's a lot of hardcore players who probably people who play this game. So lots of hardcore players already playing a game and they're ready. I know they are because, RuneScape players are a different breed, as I stated before, and they're going to be ready for whatever's coming. So I think it's quite interesting. And it would be cool to have a leaderboard, ultimately, just to sort of have more competition. I think that's what it is, really, right? Um, it sort of pushes people and fuels people. Everybody likes to play the game differently, so obviously it wouldn't necessarily push some people maybe as much as it would other people. Well, I just saw this one. Looks like it doesn't even have a lodestone near it. It does. I don't know why I didn't really see it on the map. It's so hard for me to see all these sheep and not want to annihilate them. But sort of going back to what I said about leaderboards, even though it's a survival game, I think that's a core part of RuneScape. I mean, people love to sort of look at other people's, like, where they're at and then compete with that. And I think that's another way that they potentially could bring more players to the game. if they wanted to. A lot of RuneScape players are very competitive, so I think it's, you could bring out that competitive spirit in players, existing and new, um, into the game. I think it would be a lot of fun. We got to kill this ram. Range is already so beast, and it's just going to be even better once they bring it fully to the game and you can get XP with it. I actually wouldn't really mind running around shooting a bunch of sheep and ram and other creatures in a game with range. So I can't wait for them to fully explore that skill. I think it's going to be quite exciting. Um, I don't know. Look at all these sheep and ram just sitting around, nobody bothering them. It's not meant to be like that. I'm supposed to be destroying all of them, getting fleece and animal bones and things like that. So, and all that meat so I can cook it. So we're almost done collecting all of our rune essence. I don't know how far to the extent that we've gone. I know we've got a lot more lodestones, but I don't think we were shooting down all of it. I think we sort of picked primary areas, but we'll have to wait and see what it looks like when we get to this next area, how much of it we actually got. But let's get hit by lightning really quick, as that's one of our favorite things to do apparently in this area. Let's go grab all this rune essence really quick, and then we're going to head back to our base after we check out another area, and we're going to see exactly how much XP we're going to get. I thought that was for sure going off the cliff, but I don't know. So much work done, so much work to do, and I don't know. It's actually quite relaxing if you want to know the truth. And even in RuneScape, right, the other RuneScape, it's fun. People like to skill. People like to grind. Um, and there's definitely that competitive edge of it as well too. I've got a lot of friends that I used to play RuneScape with all the time, and it was always a competition. It was so much fun. So we didn't really knock all these down. So I don't really want to spend too much time here, as these aren't really ready. And that's okay, really. It's just I don't want to spend a bunch of time if they're not already on the ground. So let's go ahead and go back to our base. What we're going to do is we're going to put away all this rune essence. And then we are going to grab all of our food that's been cooking. And then once we're done with that, we are potentially going to... We can't really go grab all that charcoal. We've got nowhere to put it. But I think it would only make sense that we did do that, as it will raise our XP. So there's going to be quite a bit happening, and I believe this video will probably go over our initial 30-minute window. So if you guys have made it this far, we really appreciate you guys watching our content and being a part of that. So let's go ahead and drop all these materials up in here really quick that we didn't mean to grab, that we sort of did. So another thing we're going to have to do is drop all of our runes down here, because there's obviously way too much rune essence and it's going to fill this entire inventory up. So let's go ahead and put those away, and then let's grab a cooking potion really quick and pick up all the food that was cooking while we were gone. Should be quite a bit of XP. So what's this? 3,192 XP. Some of it may have fallen way over. No, we got it. 3,204 cooking XP. So I know it doesn't really seem like a lot, right? But that's actually pretty substantial cooking XP. The next thing we want to do is put out our rune crafting and potions, and take care of this as well. I don't know. Red berry infusion. Is it food? Is it still a drink? I've even got no idea. So there is a lot of artisan XP up there to be had. And I think the best thing to do actually is grab a stack of logs and make more chests. So that way later on, when we're really lazy and don't want to pick it all up, it just sort of sits, right? That's what happens. It's actually quite disturbing, because ultimately I don't know when I'm going to want to come up here and deal with this. It's quite a chore, really. So let's go ahead and dump all this in. Quite a bit we're picking up here. And we're already sitting at 18,000, 23,000 artisan XP. And we're going to have to make more chests. But 23,000. And then we got another 5. We got to build more chests. That's another thing too. We may as well build those really quick, because honestly, it's just not working out well. But it's quite ridiculous. I don't even know what we're going to do with all this charcoal. Originally, I kind of thought, oh, we can use it to make steel. But guess what? That's not what you use to make steel. That's coal. So I'm not sure what they plan to do with that. Is that going to be something that you sort of mine somewhere? Or is it they're just going to let you use charcoal for that? I don't really know what their plans are for that. So your guess is really is as good as mine. Maybe it's going to be inside some sort of mine and you have to gather it. I think that would actually be quite fun. And even though I don't really need any more mining XP, I like to mine. It's fun to do in a game. I mean, I think that's why it was my first skill to be at a 4 million, right? I really enjoyed mining in a game. So I can't really recollect how much Artisan XP I just got, but I know it was a lot. That's all I know for sure. It was a lot. So obviously we're going to go over that in our XP update at the end of the video. But let's go ahead and jump to rune crafting now. One thing we neglect all the time is definitely wood cutting. And the reason for that really being, it just takes a ridiculous amount of time to level up. And I mean, it's just a long process. So we've got 2 more little stacks over there. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to pop a rune crafting potion and then get started on this. So here we go. We're going to make a bunch of airs. Remember when you're doing this, if you've got lots of essence, to wait before you click again. Because what's going to happen is it sort of confuses it and it doesn't allow you to sort of get XP fast. If anything, it makes it horribly slow because there's a gap in a window, and I don't know why it does that, but I think it confuses it in a game. But we're getting quite a bit, and I know we got quite a bit while we were out there skilling as well, mining it from the nodes. So we are going to start making one more stack, I guess, of air runes. It looks like we've got 3,900. I don't really know where we want to be with each, but it's unfortunate that it stopped stacking the XP. That little bit of gap that I waited sort of messed it up. But we're getting XP now. And we're working towards our progression in our goal. So that's all we can really do. But it's crazy, really. I don't even know. We've got to be about 300 hours into the game now. 300 plus. So I think that's quite crazy, to be quite honest. And there's so many more hours to be spent. I think it's a great game. I really, really do. I'm so glad that they decided to make this game, and that's all I really got to say. But so much work still needs to be done from the development standpoint and from our progression standpoint as well. But we do have to sort of hit these lore runes, and we've got 2 other ones to go, and then I think we may have to empty some of our inventory, as I think there's going to be way too many runes in there, and I think that it's just going to have to happen that way. So I don't know, we're probably going to have to put some in a chest. We're only sitting at 2,000, so we're going to need more. I'm trying to get like 3,000 of each different rune, but I think that might take up all the space. I'm not even quite sure. Looks like that actually is going to do it. 3,000 of each rune. But then there's those ones with just 3, so that's sort of a waste of space. But I think this will do it, just 3,000 of each rune. But we are going to have our XP update at the end of the video, and we will be discussing what we worked on, which you already know if you've made it this far in the video. And yeah, so, and then our progression and how far we are away from what we want to achieve. So that's all for those. Now we're on to the astral runes. So much essence has been used. I'm excited to see what like our XP looks like once we're done. Actually, I think that it should be a considerable amount. It's the one skill, like I said, I really want to have 1,000,000 XP in, but at the same time, I think that requires such effort and such preparation. This should actually put us pretty even with what we wanted in regards to having the 3,000 for each. If see what happens if you click too fast, there's that delay, so it doesn't quite give you what you want. But I think we can do 49. That's so weird. So anyway, there it is. We didn't quite use all of our essence. There's a little bit left, but I think I'm going to hang on to that because it's going to be required to make the magic suits. So let's go ahead and go over an XP update. 271,000 attack XP. I think we worked on that very little bit. Nothing done in the wood cutting. Looks like construction went up to 2,004,000 because we built those little crates. 475,233 rune crafting XP. So this definitely jumped us up quite a bit. We didn't work on magic. We worked on mining. We're at 4,050,000, which is crazy, really. Artisan 3,595,237 XP. So we're only 400,000 XP away from 4 million gold. And cooking looks like we're at 172,214 XP, and that's because we did a little bit of cooking as well. So, I mean, thank you guys for your time. If you made it this far, we really appreciate you guys watching our content. And we are going to come out with another video tomorrow. So if you guys want to check that out, that would be great. But until next time, Legion Uda out.